So, Rabbi, want to play your response to Ben Gvir's arrival?
We're assembled here this afternoon because the well-being and, even more importantly, the very spirit of the Jewish people in the Holy Land are being threatened. These assaults on body and soul are being perpetrated this time not by Romans, emperors, or Spanish inquisitors, but by traitorous Jews, opponents of our people, haters of our religion, and deniers of our history. They want to destroy our values, unravel our religion, and rewrite our history. They want to do this by transforming our values into theirs, by replacing our religion with their ideology and rewriting our history into their made-up version of the Jewish past. The ideology of these people is called Zionism. Zionism was designed to transform the Jewish people, body and soul, into something similar to those anti-Semites who the Zionists so deeply admired. Let's let the Zionists tell us what they think of the Jews. And I quote from Vladimir Jabotinsky, one of the founding fathers of Zionism, whose version of Zionism is the dominant one today in Israel. He tells us what a Zionist is. I know I am a Zionist, said Jabotinsky, because the Jewish people are a nasty people. Its neighbors hate them, and they're right.
All right, so that's you giving a little bit of a history lesson about the anti-Semitism that's so deeply embedded into Zionism, which you talk about a lot here in the Empty Wagon. And then we're going to play another part of that speech, because you make a really great point.
The Minister of Security of Israel is currently dirtying this beautiful country with his presence. Ben Gvir regularly tramples upon the holiness of the Temple Mount, violating its sanctity, violating Jewish law, and compromising the safety and security of Jewish people. Minister of Security, all you've secured, Mr. Ben Gvir, by your behavior, is a designated place in the lowest pits of hell waiting for you. The only thing you've secured is endangering Jews. You are responsible for the police brutality against the non-Zionist Jews in the Holy Land. Jews follow the God-given religion of Judaism. Zionists follow the nationalist construct of Zionism. People like Ben Gvir, who claim to be religious, he wears a yarmulke like me. I have something to tell you, Mr. Ben Gvir. If you want to be a Zionist, Ben Gvir, take off your yarmulke, stop keeping Shabbos, eat some pork, and leave Judaism alone. Leave us alone. Don't say things and do things and make people think it's the name of the Jews.
So first, Ben Gvir is Minister of Security, and that position in Israel does not mean security against invaders from other countries. It doesn't have to do with the army. It's internal security, kind of like our FBI, as opposed to the CIA or the police, as opposed to the army. It's internal security. And the reason we held this protest against Ben Gvir, there were many, but the reason why we held it particularly now is because during the Passover holiday, which just ended, there were numerous incidents of terrible police brutality against the Orthodox anti-Zionist Jewish community in Jerusalem, because right now they are refusing to serve. They always refuse to serve in the Israeli army. I've spoken about that a lot. But now the Israeli police and Ben Gvir is responsible for them. The Israelis hate the anti-Zionist Jews. And what we're doing is we're two things. Number one, we want people to know that when we're asking people, help us, help us. But most importantly, what we're doing is we're making everybody aware that nobody should think that this Ben Gvir or anybody like him, any of his cohorts or his ilk, represent anything to do with Jews or Judaism at all. Ben Gvir and the state of Israel itself are just renegade fringes of the Jewish people that practice a ideology, I don't even want to call it a religion, called Zionism, that has nothing to do with Judaism. In fact, Ben Gvir, who is a admitted a follower of Meir Kahane, are all students or offshoots of the particular Zionist ideology of Vladimir Jabotinsky, who I quoted there, who not only said the Jews are a nasty people. The rest of that quote was, by the way, he said the neighbors hate it, the people of the Jewish people, and they're right. Its end will be a Bartholomew unite. That was a quote. But Jabotinsky said, made the best Zionist speech ever in a eulogy on Theodor Herzl. And Jabotinsky praised Herzl for being a real Hebrew. That's what they used to call Zionist because it sounds more national than religious. A real Hebrew, a real Zionist, because a Zionist is the exact diametrical opposite of a Jew. Every character trait that a Jew has, imagine its diametric opposite, and that's a characteristic of a Zionist. And that's what Zionists tried to do. The most important thing that the Zionists wanted to change in the Jews was that the Jews were a very pacifist people. And the Zionists considered this pacifism of the Jews cowardice. Right. They considered the reason why the anti-Semites harass the Jews is because the Jews are pacifists. If they would be militants, fascists in the days of Jabotinsky, he really loved fascism. He really did. We're talking about Mussolini type of fascism, the real thing. Then everybody would respect the Jews. That was their idea. And this ideology of respect through power and fear sounds like something that like a mafia godfather would say, you know, it's better to be feared than loved or something like that. These guys want to be feared, and they believe that through fear, people will respect the Jews. Netanyahu believes this too. They have a slur. Like to us, one of the biggest slurs you can call somebody is you Zionist, which is what that guy called his attackers. The Zionists have a slur for us too. They call us Golus Jews, exile Jews, with an exile mentality, meaning the cowardly, which means pacifists who don't want or like and run from violence under all circumstances. The people who aren't nationalists, we just want to be left alone to live in whatever countries we live in as citizens of those countries, you know. No, this is what they believed garnered for the Jews disrespect of the anti-Semites. And they felt this shame, which led to this collective trauma that they had. And this overcompensation that they have now, it started with Jabotinsky. He was the first right-wing Zionist, as opposed to Ben Gvir, who was more socialist. They were nemesis. He was his nemesis in those days. Jabotinsky had two groups, the Beitar Youth Group, which was a violent group, which is actually still around now officially. Meir Kahane was a member of it when he was a kid, when he was younger. And he also had a political party then called the Revisionists. It later morphed in what's called the Cherus or Cherut Party, which later morphed and evolved into today's Likud. Right. So basically, Jabotinsky is the ideological founder of the Likud. And Netanyahu once said that he considers himself a student of Jabotinsky. And I want to give you a quote from Netanyahu that he said after you remember in 2017, I think it was, when the UN condemned the settlements. It was in Obama's days. They condemned the settlements, and then Netanyahu it was the UN Security Council unanimously, one abstention, of course, that was us. They condemned.
It was a big deal that we abstained and we didn't veto it or something.
That's right. So Netanyahu made some kind of aggressive comment, and people told him that he's going to start World War III. What are you doing? And then Netanyahu said, and I quote, this from the Jerusalem Post. Israel is a country with national pride, and we do not turn the other cheek. That means we're not like Christians, right? Because that's from the New Testament, turning the other cheek. This is a rational, aggressive, and responsible response, the natural reaction of a healthy nation that is making clear to the nations of the world that what has been done in the UN is unacceptable to it. Meaning, healthy nation. You see, he's talking about Jews as opposed to Jews like me that are unhealthy. Then he continued, he said, I say enough with this exile mentality. I say there is no diplomatic wisdom in being obsequious. Not only will our relations with the world not be harmed, in the long term they will only improve because the nations of the world respect strong countries that stand up for themselves. They do not respect weak and obsequious countries that bow their heads, right? So like Meir Kahane, Netanyahu wants respect by not giving in to what the UN says. That's a healthy person. Now, if like Netanyahu and Meir Kahane want respect for the Jewish people, that, I mean, like, how's that working out for you guys, right?